Today's show is brought to you by Anna, an awesome Instagram follower in St. Louis. Hello and welcome to Film Pro Productivity, the podcast that helps film professionals and other creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 37, Swim for Your Life. Last week, in a longer than usual episode, I spoke about the lessons that I've learned from 4 successful crowdfunding campaigns. And if that's a topic that interests you, then please go back and have a listen. And if you're on a podcasting app right now, incidentally, then please remember to hit subscribe so that you won't miss out on any of the new shows that I have coming up. There's a good number still to go this season. Today, I'm releasing 2 shorter, more on-point episodes, and this episode, Swim for Your Life, is the first ever show where I've actually talked about fitness. It's a very limited immersion, pun very much intended there, in a topic that I feel may make a big difference to your life if you can go for it. There's plenty of other stuff in here too, though, so if you're a non-swimmer, stay tuned. And let me just add at this point that staying active is one of the 5-a-day for good mental health that I talk about in season 1. And it's vital if you're going to be as productive as you possibly can be too. Maya Angelou says, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Today I'll be talking about why going for a swim is something that you just might want to consider. But before I get into that, I suspect that you might already be thinking that you can't fit anything new into your schedule. So I want to stop you right there. I'm not saying what I'm talking about here is going to be easy for everyone. It's certainly not going to be easy, but it's possible, and I absolutely know as well that listeners that work in the film industry and in other busy places are often working crazy hours in unrelenting schedules. But the mindset of I can't can easily be changed into one of I can. Just to briefly cover this before I get into the episode, I want to get this together. To change your mindset, one good way to approach it is to have a clear picture of what it is that you want. So you'll need to have a vision of what it would be like for you, whatever that is. I'm talking today about swimming, but that could be a visualization of a car that you want to buy, a house that you want to live in, a holiday you want to go in. When you visualize things that you want, it acts as a powerful motivating force, particularly when you're struggling to find the time to do something new or stay focused on something that you're already committed to. I'm going to be talking about visualizations in a later episode, possibly this season. I'm not entirely sure, but I just want to kind of cover this a little bit so that it's not going to limit you in what I'm talking about today. Simply put, if you can visualize what you want, it makes it easier to achieve that goal. With a plan or strategy in place, you can easily or more easily work towards achieving it. So in June there, I tackled my first social media fast, which I later did an episode on. Give it a listen if you've not done so already. And right now, as I put this 3rd season together, I'm on another social media fast as I write and record it. During the first fast, though, I decided to do something which I had recommended that we all do in an earlier show, and that was to exchange a bad habit for a good one. I exchanged social media for swimming. Oh, what's this? Sound effects, I hear you cry. Sound effects to spice up this episode recorded by my own fair hand this morning. Actually, that's totally untrue. I had to download it at the end of it all because a swim class of about 40 women came in just as I started to record and they started doing water aerobics with music and all that. But I'll gloss over that one. And don't worry about it, I'll fade it out sooner rather than later so that you can relax again. But I wanted to get you back into the spirit of it and remind you what being in the swimming bath actually might have been like. At a glance, exchanging social networking time for swimming is probably somewhat strange to you, but when I say exchange a bad habit for a good one, there's really no rules to that. We are the masters of our own destiny, as I keep saying after all. I simply wanted to use the time which I'd freed up for something productive, and swimming had been on my mind for a long, long time. In an earlier show, I can't recall where, I talked about taking something you used to enjoy, whatever that might be, reading, making model aeroplanes, playing netball, skiing, drawing, painting, coding, going to the theatre, playing tabletop games, horse riding, anything at all. Swimming was my one. And then finding the time to fit it back into your life. And the concept of this is, to me, very attractive. But the time I once had in my life seems to have slipped through my fingers somewhere along the road. And now I have to exchange time that I'm kind of wasting in some way in order to indulge myself in those hobbies that I once did, or indeed in completely new ones. As a kid, I swam every week. My mum or my dad would run me and my brother to the Coatbridge Baths, and we'd spend, I think it was 45 minutes a session, swimming and playing in the water. We'd even been part of the Subaqua Club because my Aunt Elizabeth and Uncle Gordon had been involved in that, and the whole thing had been a major part of my life while I was growing up. But somewhere along the line, my priorities changed. I went off to college and I just stopped swimming. Getting into a pool just seemed to me to be too much bother. Over the years, though, I've occasionally ended up in a pool, but usually it's for fights which take place in water, rehearsing them. I certainly never, until recently that is, got back into the swing of going there for fun or for fitness, and I avoided it for a number of reasons. I think primarily because I became quite self-conscious for a while, which, as I've prepped this episode and spoken to a few other people, seems to be the main reason that most are at least voicing as the reason they stopped going. Others stopped, though, because it no longer seemed fun, because it was better to spend their time with their friends. I looked into this, and several studies actually say that 70% of kids will quit sports, that's all sports, but including swimming, by the age of 13. And I feel myself to be very lucky to be trialling and testing the techniques, tips and tricks which I bring to you here on the podcast. Swimming has not only worked out for me as a result, but it's one that I feel I should bring to you today as I continue to swim as often as I can. If you can get back into the habit of swimming, your life and your fitness will improve in many ways. Perhaps when you read the title of today's episode, you said to yourself, that's an episode about why we should all go swimming, as it's good for you. Well, yes, you are completely correct, and it doesn't necessarily have to be swimming, of course. I know several people that don't actually like the water and who can't swim, but perhaps what I'm doing is somewhat interchangeable for maybe running or cycling, if that's the case. I also know of at least one non-swimmer, a friend of mine, that goes to the swimming baths and walks breaths at the shallow end to keep himself fit. And it's never, of course, too late to learn to swim. I've been rolling about in the ground and staging fights for 24 years, and swimming for me is a really great option for fitness, as my body, especially my knees, is not particularly happy these days about me doing impact sports. Running is certainly pretty much out of the running, as it were. It's not that I can't do it, it's that if I do it, I'm going to be suffering from it a little bit later on. I also have a gym membership which, due to various injuries I've had along the way, I've not been using lately. But swimming, on the other hand, has turned out to be absolutely ideal, as it's a non-impact sport. An article in health.com lists a number of reasons why you should be swimming. It says, 1, it's a total body workout. Swimming tackles everything from sculpting your back to toning your arms, all without having to pick up a weight. 2, it says it's joint friendly, as I was saying a second ago. If you're recovering from an injury and are eager to build strength, then look to start swimming, building a routine in it to stay fit. 3, it says it puts your body through a range of movements, helping your muscles stay long and flexible. Next, it says it doesn't require fancy equipment, and that's right, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to get swimming. All you need really is a swimsuit. And it's a great way to burn calories as their final point. 1 hour of moderate swimming can burn around about 500 calories. And if I were to add to that list, I'd say you should go swimming because you don't need to be a professional swimmer to benefit from going for a swim. Have fun with it and enjoy being in the water. It can be an absolutely awesome way to wake yourself up as well and get refreshed. It gives you time to think is probably the second thing I would say. It slows you down for a period of considered time, which can allow you to plan things out that are troubling you or to just unwind. And there's another element to this too, I'll chuck in here as well, although I've not written a note on it, which is a social element. I went swimming earlier on and it was difficult because actually there was quite a lot of people swimming, so I had to swim in and out of other people, but as I did so, we were chatting, and these are people that I've seen time and again in the baths, and we've all got the same sort of problems. So there's a really interesting social element to it as well, which of course is another part of the 5 a day for good mental health that I mentioned earlier. And the benefits of swimming also include being a relaxing and peaceful form of exercise, alleviating stress, improving your coordination, your balance and your posture. I've got this knee injury I might have mentioned in the past, and I kind of focus on how I'm using my left knee as I swim. So I do believe that it is improving my strength in that area and my coordination with that leg. The simple act of swimming provides good low-impact therapy for various injuries and conditions. Now, I really don't want to preach to you all about this, although I feel a little bit like I am. My aim here is simply to get you to go swimming, to consider it, not to go on and on about why it's a good idea. I think you probably, without me listing all these things, already knew that. I do, though, want to add a few more things, though, which might make the prospect of going for a swim a little bit more appealing. Now, that list there said that going for a swim uses up 500 calories an hour, but going for a swim doesn't necessarily have to take an hour. In fact, I never go swimming each day that I go out, in fact, for more than about 30 minutes. I'm in the changing rooms and changed in 5 minutes. I'm showered in 1 minute more, and then I'm dived in and I'm swimming for maybe the next 10 to 15 minutes. Then I'm out and I've showered again. I've maybe brought some shampoo in with me. I've washed my hair and I'm out and ready 10 minutes after that and walking out the door. And even if I've only got 20 minutes instead of half an hour spare, I'll still go for that swim so that I keep myself in the habit. Taking that a little further, in fact, I point out that a 5-minute swim is enough for me to get something out of it too. I can get swimming in, by the way, even if I'm shooting on location. I simply identify the nearest pool to the filming locations and I plan it into my day, either before I start shooting, during the point that I'm shooting if I get freed up, or afterwards. I was shooting a feature this summer, in fact, and it was hot, I tell you, and I made sure I found time every day to get to the swimming, and it felt great. I would come back onto set and see the others sweating away and think, this is totally awesome. One thing to consider too, though, is that sometimes in the morning I'll go for a swim, then I'll shower, wash my hair and get ready there before heading into work. That is, I would leave the house without having had a shower and stuff and go to the swimming baths and kind of get clean there, as well as I'd kind of mix it in, make it work together. So you can save a little bit of time in the mornings if you've got a swimming pool near you that opens, say, at 7 a.m. or earlier, whatever. At other times, though, I'll fit it into a lunch break even, or a shooting break. Sometimes, you know, I'm lucky. I'm not the guy that's there at 8 a.m. and finishes at 7 p.m. every day. It happens quite a lot. But quite often I'm only in for one scene, so I might get a call at 10 o'clock in the morning, which means I can get a swim first. Or I might get a call midway through the day and be finished by 4 o'clock, say, and then I might be able to fit in a swim then. I know I've got it lucky. At other times, though, as I say, I do fit it into lunch breaks. And I'll also find, if I'm out and about, if I'm shooting away from home, I'll try and find hotels that actually have their own pools and use that as well. Usually if there's a pool in a hotel or a spa of some sort, you don't have to pay additional for that. Even if you are in one of these crazy shooting schedules or you've just got a busy life, you can still plan for a swim on a day off. And it's entirely possible to get a swim in, even with these crazy long shooting days, if you put your mind to it. And it's available, actually, in many places, although I appreciate that it might not be easily available to all of you that are listening, wherever you are on the planet. Let me just finish too by saying that many local councils or governing bodies have got deals for regular swimmers. Glasgow charges a pretty hefty £4.50 a swim, which if you're only in like me for 15 minutes is quite a lot. But for only £15 a month, I can swim in any one of their many facilities as often as I like. I mean, I get my money's worth out of that £15, I'll tell you. And another little top tip is that I keep change in with my swimming stuff, 20-pence pieces, and quite often I'll find a 20-pence piece in the locker and I won't have to use my own money and I'll pick up 20p. So there you go, another great reason to go swimming. So I don't know if I've convinced you, I hope I have. Your call to action this week is to put a swim bag together of your swimsuit or shorts, a towel, goggles if you like to swim with goggles, shampoo, or whatever you need to go for a swim, and I want you to put it in your car or leave it by your front door. And at a point of your choosing within the next 7 days, I ask you to take the plunge, literally, and go for a swim. When you get back home though, I want you to take your stuff back out your bag, hang it up to dry, and the next morning, I want you to take it down, put it back in the bag, and leave it once more by the door or put it in your car. Build the habit of swimming as often as you can and reap the benefits that it will bring you. Then check back in with me here or on the social networking and let me know how you're getting on. In the next episode, I'll be talking in detail about a habit-forming technique called elephant habits. But I'll finish today's show with the words of Aldous Huxley. There is only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self. Now take control of your own destiny, keep on swimming, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity. The music you can hear right now is Adventures by Ehimitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website, filmproproductivity.com. That's filmproproductivity.com. You can also follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at fight_director, or follow the show's official account on Twitter at filmproprodpod or on Facebook at filmproproductivity. Please support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.